A very warm welcome to you, our viewers, and thank you for joining us for this Money Mastery session. In this session, we take a look at banking products and we show you how your money can work for you when you join a good financial institution. My name is Paulette Nandwa-Asura. I take care of high net worth customers within NCBA Bank. And joining me today is Gladys Akinyi, the Consumer Director at NCBA Bank. Gladys, karibu.
Thank you so much, Paulette.
So today we're going to be discussing about credit scores, and we're going to dive right into it. Gladys, we've had the term credit score every time we go to borrow from a bank. What does it really mean, this term credit score?
Credit score is your repayment history. It's a record of how well you pay back your loans. It's normally a 3-digit number on your credit report. And credit reports are normally issued by credit reference bureaus. It actually determines your credit worthiness and ability to pay back loans if an organization or an institution lends money to you.
Okay.
It's also part of what banks use or lenders use to ascertain your ability to repay, but also as part of their credit application assessment process.
So Gladys, how do banks get my credit score even if I don't bank with them?
As I mentioned before, you get a credit report from credit reference bureaus. So this is determined by how you have been servicing your loans and how well you've been repaying them. This information is collected from various sources, and these sources include credit card companies, mortgage banks, financial institutions, and also mobile lenders, and SACCOs.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very, very important that whenever you're taking money from any of these institutions, that you're able to continue servicing your loans in a way that is acceptable.
Okay, so mobile lenders, I heard you say mobile lenders. Does that include Mshwari?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
There are a lot of mobile lenders in the market right now, but the main one is Mshwari.
Mshwari, okay.
Yes.
How necessary is it to have this credit score?
Paulette, for instance, you have two friends.
Yes.
And both of them borrow your car. Friend one normally looks after your car, and even when they return it, they put in extra fuel. Your second friend, however, sometimes returns the car with a dent, sometimes does not return it on time, and God forbid, sometimes they don't return it at all. Which among those two would you actually lend your car to?
Certainly the one who actually brings it back with some good value.
Yes. And a credit score works in the same way.
Okay.
Yeah? Creditors would like to lend to people that they're confident will pay back their debt on time and in full. So it is very important that you are able to develop a credit repayment culture that enables you to pay back on time and therefore allow you to have a good credit score.
Okay, so you speak about a good credit score. And I know for many people who have not borrowed, it's not a natural thing to come by. In your opinion, Gladys, what is the advantage of having that good credit score?
Paulette, that's a very good question. Right now, if you're looking for employment, whether in the private sector or even in the government sector or the public sector, you are requested by your employer to provide a credit reference bureau report.
Yeah, that's a very recent adjustment.
Yeah,
and, it's interesting to note because not many people know it and they get caught off guard when they're trying to change employment.
So it really just relates to your character, because it shows if you're a person that can be relied on to be able to do the work, but also it touches on integrity. In the banking sector, a good credit score means that you are a low-risk customer. It means that you are able to pay back your loans on time. Therefore, you actually stand a higher chance of being granted a loan. Yes.
Okay. And so Gladys, how do I get a credit score? Do I just walk into a bank? How is it that I can get a credit score?
Yes, we welcome you to walk into a bank, but that's where the relationship starts. Yeah, first you start by opening an account. You build up your relationship with your banker. Then, if you have a need for credit, then you request for a loan. So, for you to be able to get a credit score, you must have a lending history. But not having a credit score is not a bad thing. However, it limits you from being able to access credit easily because lenders will not be able to ascertain your ability to repay. Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. There are instances where I have borrowed before, and I do not recall having given my credit score or that credit score having been given to me. So how do I go about checking it or knowing what my credit score is? Is it something that I can reference from somewhere? How would I get one?
Right, currently we have 2 credit reference bureaus. We have Metropol and we have TransUnion.
Okay.
These 2 reference bureaus can be able to provide to you on a yearly basis 1 free credit report. What you need to do is either go into their website or use SMS. What you need is your ID, and you'll be able to get that 1 free credit report that as a consumer you are entitled to.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So when you say ID, once I reach the age of majority from 18 and onwards, my credit history is important. Is that what it means?
Yes, it means that your credit history is important. At 18, you're an adult.
Yes.
You are supposed to take responsibility for your actions.
It's interesting to note that. I also want to find out, Gladys, if I take a loan once in, say, 4 years, does that affect my credit score? I'm not a regular borrower. And, you know, I have a need now, but I don't have another need until another 4 years. What is that? What is the impact of that on my credit score?
As a consumer, it's very important when you take a loan to know the length of time you have to pay it. So, for instance, in that case, if you've taken a loan for 4 years, you'll be well within the time where you can continue to generate a credit score. But for instance, if you have not borrowed for 24 months, it will have a negative impact on your credit score because there will be no record of borrowing. Yes.
Okay, so the key thing here is 24 months.
Yes.
We should all take note.
Yeah, but also it's very important, even that 1,000 shillings that you borrow and pay back goes towards enabling you have a better credit score.
That's very interesting. So does that mean that if I borrow on M-Pesa, I'm actually improving my probability of being measured on that credit score?
Yes, for as long as you're able to pay back on time.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So 24 months, that's the key thing, and borrowing consistently and repaying within good time.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
that's very interesting to note.
Yes.
I think our viewers are going to get very good value out of this. So what would you tell our viewers to consider when it comes to just thinking about a credit score?
It's very important to really take your credit score seriously. There are certain areas that you have to pay keen attention to, and I look at them in 2 ways. There are 2 P's and 2 I's. The first P is be prepared. Please ensure that the contact details, your personal information, and the data that has been submitted to the credit reference bureaus are accurate. So that when you go to a lender to ask for credit, that you don't get any surprises. The other P is to protect. That is protect the information that number one is sent to the credit reference bureau, but that also you look at your credit report and see if there are any fraudulent activities that have been recorded there that are not part of any of your lending.
Speaking of fraudulent activities, I think something that comes to mind, and it's something that occurs every so often. I've seen cases where people give perhaps a SIM card. I have 2 SIM cards, and I have a relative perhaps who's living in my house. And you know, out of my good nature, I decide to give them that, you know, the SIM card. And at some point, when I'm going to get a credit from my bank or anywhere else, then I get to discover that I'm actually maybe listed. Is that part of the protection that you're talking about?
Yes, that's part of the protection. And we get a lot of those when customers come to us and they discover that, you know what, they're actually listed. Number one, it comes as a big surprise for them.
Certainly.
But also, what it does, it actually delays the process because then they have to go back to the credit reference bureau, settle the debt with whichever financier it was, and then get a clearance record. So
Okay.
it's very, very critical that you look at your credit score on a regular basis.
And so in settling that matter, does it come under the borrower's name or does it come under the person whom they had lent the SIM card to?
Because you registered the SIM card
Yes.
in your name, so that history is actually in your name.
That's very punitive, huh?
No, it's not, because you need to take responsibility
Okay.
for your actions, and
Okay.
also you need to be very careful who you give the SIM card to.
Okay, Gladys,
Yeah.
so it seems like caution is the thing here. If you're to give your SIM card, you really need to know that you're giving it to somebody who is trustworthy.
Yes, that's very important.
All right.
Sorry, so the 2 I's are improve. So ensure that you look at your credit score and see how you can be able to improve it. And then the second I is inform. So just make sure that you're keeping track of the information in your credit score and noting any changes to that score.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it means that the onus is on me as a user to be very conversant with what is reflecting on my credit score. That's
Yeah.
what I get from you.
That's very critical.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, viewers, we've learned a lot about the credit score. We've learned about how you need to borrow, but borrow wisely. You have the influence to determine what kind of credit score you hold. Thank you very much, Gladys. This has been a very useful session. A lot of tips learned, and I'm sure we're going to take that out. For the rest of the viewers, we shall see you next time on Money Mastery, where your money makes the moves. Thank you.
NCBA.